Hello, this is Nate, McKay, Mike, and Benson, and we are presenting on the service operation step of the ITIL process. Service operation has a primary objective of making sure that IT services are delivered effectively and efficiently, including fulfilling user requests, resolving service failures, fixing problems, as well as carrying out routine operational tasks. This includes request fulfillment, access management, incident management, facilities management, application management, and others. Service operation is divided into processes and functions. The processes of service operation are event management, access management, request fulfillment, problem management, and incident management, while the functions are service desk, technical management, application management, and IT applications management. The distinction is important because within ITIL, a function is treated as an organizational entity characterized by a specialization. We'll discuss this more on later slides.
All right, so event management is the first process that we're going to discuss in our presentation, and it handles events in the system. There are different types of events that the system handles: informational, exceptions, and warnings. Now, informational events are just simple events like when a user logs into the system or if an email has reached its intended recipient. An exception is when an event has failed, like when someone enters the wrong password when they're trying to sign in. And a warning is an unusual but not an exceptional operation. And these are typically things that can repair themselves. And these events occur all the time in the system, and the system needs to know which processes need to be accounted for to prevent fraudulent behavior. And this is done through the event monitoring rules, which create meaningful monitoring tools to filter different types of events. Event filtering to make sure that informational events that have no warnings are ignored and that exceptions and warnings are reported. Response selection to interpret the meaning of the event and select a response if required. And then event review and closure to make sure the event has been handled properly and will be closed. This can also be used to analyze trends and patterns to anticipate warnings and exceptions.
Access management, as the name would suggest, is the process of granting authorized users the right to use a service while preventing access to non-authorized users. This was added to the ITIL process in recent years due to increased security concerns. Access management has two main sub-processes: the maintenance of catalog of user roles and access profiles, as well as processing user access requests for creating new users, updating user information, or deleting said user information, as well as reviewing. This is obviously a fundamental process for any organization looking to keep its information secure while also making money while offering a service. For example, take Google with their email offering. Without using access management, they would not be able to grant users the right to their particular email accounts and would be unable to generate ad revenue for those accounts.
Problem management is an ongoing process. It's managing the life cycle of problems. So it's continually identifying what can go wrong and trying to mitigate all of those potential incidents and identifying which incidents you're not going to be able to prevent beforehand. And so it encompasses figuring out what you will do when those incidents occur. So there are a few sub-processes in problem management, the first of which is that being proactive about problem identification, figuring out those problems before they occur and figuring out how to prevent them. Next is problem categorization and prioritization. So just being able to recognize the problems that you're facing accurately and then being able to prioritize them to focus your time so that you can deliver the best service to those that you're servicing with the process. During problem diagnosis and resolution, the next sub-process, It's being able to identify the root cause of an issue, to be able to, stop other problems from occurring stemming from that same issue, and being able to really fix the problems so that they aren't recurring. And so all of these, essentially, there's problem and error control, just to be aware of all those problems ongoing so that you don't have problems that kind of get pushed aside and continue forever. And there's a documenting process that's called problem closure and evaluation. And it's essentially recording what you learned in the process of solving that problem so that if it recurs in the future, people will be able to quickly fix that problem as well. And then major problem review is just being aware, kind of training the people in your organization to be aware of those major problems, so that when it does occur, there are resources available to people so that they can fix that. Then with IT operations control, it's essentially doing day-to-day tasks, doing a lot of small, simple things that keep everything running smoothly. These are the things that are easy to overlook, but they really add up if you don't do them over time. So it's things like job scheduling, backing up and restoring, making sure that your print and output is managed correctly, and just performing routine maintenance to make sure that all your systems are performing as expected. So IT operations control is not a process, it's a function, but it is crucial to be ongoing, and that it is given the correct importance and relevance in an IT organization to continue that effective service.
So ITIL application management encompasses a set of best practices proposed to improve the overall quality of IT software development and support through the life cycle of software development projects, with particular attention to gathering and defining requirements that meet business objectives. One of the main, sub-practices of application management is software access management, or SAM, which is the practice of integrating people, processes, and technology to mitigate the risk and expenditures of software management, or of using software. Primarily, the cost of licensing is one of the main selling points of this technology. There are companies, consulting companies, that their entire service is managing software licenses for larger enterprises. Application management is treated as a function within ITIL, meaning, as we mentioned earlier, it's an organizational entity characterized by a specialization. In this case, improving the quality of software development and software use throughout its life cycle.
All right. Technical management is also another function in service operations, and it is to provide technical expertise and support across different areas in service operation, as well as other services within the company. So it provides services to incident management, problem management, IT operations control, and facilities management, as well as services outside of operations like service strategy, service design, service transition, and continual service improvement. And the role of technical management is kind of broken into two separate parts. Technical management is essential and ensures the knowledge required to design, test, manage, and improve IT services. And the second role of technical management is to provide the actual resources to support the IT lifecycle, including hardware, software, and personnel training. And they can be brought in with full-time employees or through consultants to provide the needed personnel to perform these tasks.
All right, we have two more things to talk about in service operation. The first is incident management, and the next is request fulfillment. First, with incident management, it's defined as an unplanned interruption to or quality reduction of an IT service. That quality reduction is defined as the SLA, or service level agreement, that is defined between the provider and the customer. If the service quality drops below that, then it is considered an incident as well as any unplanned interruption. Now there's 5 steps to being able to manage these incidents. The first is identification, logging, categorization, prioritization, and response. Now, in a company using ITIL, it seems that a lot of the resources are actually devoted to this incident management. It's one of the most important categories in our service operation that we're talking about. These other 5 bullet points on the right are 5 bullets that pertain to the 5th one, incident response. So first you need to initially diagnose the problem, then you need to put kind of a rating or an escalation of if the incident is rated as a bad incident, then it will be escalated even higher to a higher rating. Then we have investigation and a further diagnosis, and then resolution and recovery and incident closure. Now I have to keep this brief, but incident management is, like I said, important, and if you follow these processes, it becomes something that you can maintain. The whole goal of incident management is to be closing these incidents as fast as possible. And now it's not the same as problem management because those are ongoing things, but incidents, if you have a lot of them that pertain to the same thing, odds are you have a problem in that area. The next thing I want to talk about is request fulfillment quickly. It handles the logging, categorizing, and prioritizing, scheduling, and satisfying of valid service requests. Meaning that if people bring in a request, it needs to be valid. It can't be like something that's out of the scope or not reasonable. But if it's valid, then we need to log it, and we need to be able to fulfill those requests. The examples that I have right here are any password resets. I know I worked at BYU, the Office of IT, and those happen all of the time. So we have to reset passwords. People just request informations. That's like what BYU operators do, and or standard changes that are described under change management. So if there's changes that are regularly happening, then the service operations can handle those, like the service desk can do that. Now I want to talk about this magic quadrant of ITSM. So you can see on here that ServiceNow is in the leaders and BMC. Now these are 2 competitors for basically an IT service management software. And so obviously you don't want to do all these things that we've talked about today separately. It'd be way easier to have a software that manages all of it. Now ServiceNow is what BYU uses, or the Office of IT. They do a great job, and I worked there for a while using their system. And ServiceNow is a great software to be able to categorize all this data and all these incidents and be able to manage them, as well as any of the problem management, all of these other things that we need to manage, or aspects that we need to manage, can be done through this software. The other one I said earlier, BMC, Remedy 9 is the newest one, and they're a pretty good competitor. And so these are both, they're actually, BMC is used for a lot of the big Fortune 500 companies. So that's about a wrap up on the examples and on this quick presentation. If you have any other questions about service operation, just come to us, our group. Once again, Nate, Mike, McKay, and Benson. And to end off, thanks for watching, and here's a short cat video for you to see.